think the result was disappointing because we led the whole game and didn't control perhaps as well as we'd like to have the last 20 minutes, and through that lack of perhaps composure, control, we got ourselves in difficulty, and we know the result.
You've spoken a lot about taking the positives from the previous two matches. What can you take from that performance?
Well, I think it reinforces some of the areas we need to address within the team. We win together, we lose together, and there's some things we need to have a look at. The shift forward. We've got 2 more games. We've got England away, then we've got Ireland here at home, and looking at this, if we look at it very closely, there are things that we need to perhaps give us more composure and enable us to finish and close out games like that. So,
with that mind, Bird, any risks about taking captain off with 5-10 minutes to go?
Yeah, I mean, not just for that as well, but for obviously I'm responsible for the defeat, so I'll be having a good look at myself and how we can move forward.
What did you make of the final decision that Italy seemed to be allowed to set up balls in midfield and eventually got a penalty try from it?
Yeah, it was down that far end and I couldn't see very well, so I need to have a look at that.
The ball was a weapon for Italy all game. Is that, and has been for numerous Scotland opponents in recent past, is that a growing concern for you?
Sorry, the
ball. It was a weapon for Italy all game, and other teams have managed
the maul. Oh yeah. Yeah, they. They got they got one try off it, the first one, and we made we didn't have any clarity around a penalty kick that hit the post, and they scored from that out of nowhere. So, and then they had the maul. So, but we will be looking at all aspects of the game. Defending mauls, we know England's a big mauling team as well, so they'll give us some practice at it, and we'll just.
Vern, what's your thoughts on the penalty towards the end when Scotland missed touch and tried to clear the lines? Your thoughts on that?
Like I say, if it had found touch, you didn't know you were going to lose the line out either. So it was just the line out, and then followed by a penalty, and then we got pressure back on us, and we know the final result. So we need to look at not just that instance, but the whole game, and how we use the ball, how we use our kicking game, how we use our defence. There's a whole raft of things we need to look at, not just isolate that one moment.
Vern, discipline, or indiscipline rather, has been a problem for this side throughout this tournament so far. And again, right at the end, right at the death there was that penalty given away more or less on the halfway mark. Somebody, I think the referee said, not rolling well or hands off the ball. Without that penalty, you'd have probably seen it out.
Yeah, so I mean that's one of those things that have been spoken about and needs to be taken on board, I think. And
but I mean, presumably you've spoken about it after the first game. Presumably you spoke about it again after the second game, and we're still making the same mistakes. Third game.
I'm obviously not getting the message across.
Greg, how hard a disappointment result to take for yourself and the players there right at the end?
Huge disappointment. We're gutted with the results. To lose again here at home is disappointing, but some of the penalties and stuff started off the game well, and then just a lot of silly stuff in between.
Greg, was a turning point in the first half when any time Scotland scored or got a bit of a lead, seemed to let Italy right back in there. Should it have been put to bed in the first half? I guess is the question.
Yeah, well, it certainly didn't help the mannerisms when we scored points, and then we effectively just let them score easy points straight away after. We never exited or lost our kick off, something like that. let them get 3 points, 6 points, 9, and then they just chipped into what was a fairly healthy lead at the start of the game.
Greg, what was your feeling in the dressing room with the players? How do you speak to the players after that when you know that was a game that was thrown away?
The players, you don't really need to say anything. They're all gutted. I feel, we've let the fans down and stuff. So we're disappointed with that. We're disappointed we've let each other down. And, we just need to pick ourselves up, stay together as a squad, and come back together again whenever we meet up and work hard.
Coach, did you play the game you expected and you prepared? I mean, grabbing ball, big scrum, not much else. Different from the game they tried to play in cricket last week.
Yeah, we know that they probably saw that we might be a little bit light with a few losses, and we had anticipated strong scrummaging and line-out drives, and so we need to go back and have another look at how we can defend those types of play, because I think England play in a similar fashion as well. So we'll have to look at ways. We need to look at ways, I think, we need to change things during the game, and that'll be something we'll try and introduce, so that we can, if one tactic's not working, we can quickly shift to another, and it's part of that growth experience thing. There's a number of young players out there, and proud players, and are disappointed with that. So we'll be able to, I'm sure that when we go to work during the next week, there'll be a real desire to improve.
Vern, you said that maybe your message isn't getting across. It seemed to be working in the autumn. Can you put your finger on what has changed, or what the difference is in this championship?
I still think there's a lot of growth. I think things have gone forward. We've just got to address a couple of simple things that will change, help us change and control outcomes better. And those are things we'll have a look at internally. And
you must feel that performance today is a step back from where you've been. The promise of the first two. Do you feel it'll be quite easy to turn around again and get them going back to the way they were playing, the way the team were playing? Yeah, if I look at the expressions on faces in the change shed, I think that they're very keen to get back up. And like I say, I don't think there's a lot of complicated things to change. It's just a simple shift and a couple of ways we go about our game. I think our launch offline at our line breaks were good. I thought there were some good things in the game. We applied pressure and perhaps didn't get the reward sometimes we'd like to have from that pressure, and so we'll take it on the chin. And it's not the last game of the year. We've got two more, and we've got the World Cup coming up later in the year, so we'll be using this to move forward. Launching off the scrums was difficult. How much of a concern was that for you, the way the scrummage was refereed?
No, once again, it's hard to see from up there, so we need to have a good look and discuss that as a group and as a forward pack and as a scrum and have a look. Yeah.
Stuart Hall was kicking the penalties for touch during most of the game. He didn't do that one at the end. Was there a reason he didn't kick one at the end?
I think it was just because it was on his wrong foot. It was Peter's left foot.